again. Today I wanted to talk to you about imposter syndrome and why imposter syndrome. Because this is one of those conversations and these topics that I hear so many people asking me about in terms of maybe I know something about it, which is not really the case, but I'm trying to give you something as much as I can in terms of giving you some pointers on how to overcome and how to get used to it and how to get better with it, because it's actually a psychological aspect of being part of the group. So even no, let's start this off with with a little bit of a side story. If you love, there's a site that explains it much more further detail called Wait But Why. Maybe we'll pop up here and link. Okay. Doesn't matter. And they explain the theory of the um, mammoth in the room. So the theory of the mammoth in the room comes down to, as human beings, our brain has not evolved after the evolution of our body. So we've evolved from monkeys, and if you believe something else, that's fine. But most people believe that we have evolutionary grown from aquatic animals to a certain point of monkey, and a monkey became what we currently are right now. Our body has undergone multiple evolutions. I don't see much hair on my face or other things in my body, but our brain has stopped at certain points. So we have quite some aspects of tribal and or living in caves and living as cave dwellers still embedded into our system, and some of them are in this case of the Wait But Why article, and where it relates to the imposter syndrome is the realization that our brain understood that all it wants to do is three things: feed, fuck, and survive. And it's actually three F's. I'm sorry, I'm not putting that right. But it's three elements that it feast, fuck, and rest. I don't know. Doesn't matter. There's three elements of our body that it constantly wants to do. That's what it was designed for. That's what our mind was designed for. And our mind is basically a mechanism to make sure that the body stays alive, because the body is the function of how we operate in this three-dimensional world. Once you understand that your body has certain things inside you, similar, if you would hold your hand on a fire, it will pull it away. It's not you doing that, that's your body in its immediate reaction in survival mode trying to do that. In the mammoth in the room, it's they're trying to explain that inside your brain there's a similar mechanism that doesn't want you to be outside of the group. Being outside of a group means imminent death. If you would live in a cave and you would not be supported by your peer group, by your tribe, that means that you're either not going to be saved in case of some other village trying to attack you, you would not survive a famine because nobody would share food with you, or you would not be able to do certain things as we have right now in a more individualistic society that you could be able to do on your own. So in your mind, your brain has evolved to a certain point. I need to have the agreement of the group, or it means certain death. So that means certain death by my group, or there are circumstances that my group can save me from that I now lose. That ties into the imposter syndrome quite a lot, because even if I'm discussing this right now and I've put on my shirt, I've put on my hat as designed, I put on an ugly shirt, I tried to find some weird ass freaking background for me to add in, but I didn't want to make it too polished. Because if you look at the internet right now, and if what the people that we most likely follow and look at, a lot of them have been operating in this system quite some time. Some of them are quite wealthy, so they actually have more money to set up certain things and create like a personal brand around it. But more importantly, they are already established. They are not part of the imposters anymore. They are the reason why we think we are imposters, because we would never be as good as them. Because look at my background, or look at my t-shirt, or look at my whatever. I can't be as much as them, so I dare not to try. Because daring to try means you're going outside of the group. You're putting yourself outside. You're putting yourself into harm's way. Your brain is going to fire off at all kinds of cylinders, trying to make sure that you don't do that. And it's based on survival mechanism. You want to survive. Your body just wants you to survive as long as it can. Try holding your breath. Try doing it right now, and figure out that you have a horrible level of stamina after Rona. But you would understand that your body is trying to save you. Once you know that your body is trying to save you, you can stop that. Let's say, going back to the example of the breath, sometimes we want to withhold the breath to go into certain states of awareness, or maybe certain states of consciousness, or we want to train the breath to become better. You're basically holding the belief system of your brain to a measurement, like, hey, you want to breathe, but I know that I can still go, I can still go, I can still go. Similarly, if you're testing your fears, if you are trying to achieve something new, usually you have to overcome sort of a barrier inside of yourself that leads to that potential growth. The same as the imposter syndrome. This is basically a barrier put up, A, by yourself, B, by society, and C, by the brain that wants to keep society at bay, that wants to keep you and society coincide living together, because otherwise it means imminent death, which is obviously not the case in this individual society anymore, but that still is the case inside your brain. So once you're able to overcome that, and once you're able to understand that, hey, I can actually be a unique person, and yes, I'm allowed to be in the world, you can spread your gospel in whatever shape, way, or form you like to do that. I always like to utilize people from the LGBT community as examples, because they are very prudent in what they had to do to be able to position themselves. So a lot of the in the country where my partner is from, in the Philippines, you have quite some successful people in the LGBT community that have overcome some boundaries and have put themselves into sort of a place where they now are seen as a unique person, and seen as a not a nuisance or something that is outside of society, but are celebrated for whoever they are. But before they were there, they had to overcome their personal boundary in overcoming that imposter syndrome, because believe me, there were people before them that they looked up to, and they had to overcome their personal belief system that they're not good enough. And I think that's where the beauty lies. If you look into the imposter syndrome, is there's this distinction between, you have to fight your brain off that yes, you're going to be okay if you stay away from the group too much, or maybe you create new groups, because you never know what you put out, you might create a new group. And the second is your personal belief system, because your personal belief system, at least mine, and I'm talking now for you and making assumptions which I don't want to do, but your personal belief system always has two pillars. You have two people basically living inside of you, where one of them is your absolute hero and the other one is your critic. And usually the critic is much more louder than the absolute hero. And if you want to overcome the imposter syndrome, it's literally just testing yourself, understanding that you have to stop your brain from stopping you, but then also figuring out for yourself, what are the little steps that I can take that can put me into the pedestal or in the place where people are that I look up to, which could be a sports figure or a personal development hero or whomever that might be. They have had certain achievements, for example, in their life that you want to mimic or you want to be part of as well. Look how beautiful my imposter syndrome is playing with my son outside. And that, once you've established that you can be that as well in your brain by putting out your goal, putting your own belief system, and you test it and you trial it one step at a time, you'll be able to really overcome it and get better at it and get less of a critic towards yourself if you do things which might now currently be much more activating your nervous system, telling you, danger, 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 I don't want to do this, I am scared. So for the exercise of today is figure out what's holding you back, take one step and do it. And then tomorrow, build on that step, or next week, or the week after, or the week after, or the week after. Build on that step. and keep on building until you are on that pedestal that somebody else is going to look up to you and be like, oh my God, I want to be like them as well. That's what it is for today. A little side note story, which is actually quite interesting. As you can see, I'm wearing this hat, this shirt, which, to be honest, actually has holes in it. Oops, a little nip slip. And I put it on. Like, I wanted to make videos, and I've been struggling myself in this case as well and trying to overcome the imposter syndrome. And I've had multiple things that people have told me, hey, okay, what it is. So now this is me explaining to you how to overcome by overcoming my own imposter syndromes, but as well as showcasing that sometimes it's these invisible barriers we set up for ourselves. So before I wanted to do this, I would explain that it's not a beautiful background because I'm supposed to have a light somewhere here and a little bit of like a cool thing and maybe something unique, me and some books and whatever. And this is just our living room couch and our plants. Same goes for the shirt. Same goes for the hat. I wanted you to show or to see how simple it is to stop yourself in your tracks by telling yourself, yeah, but I can't do that. I can't be seen with that shirt. Oh my God, what if hundreds of thousands of people are going to watch it and they're going to see me in that shirt? But this is, minus the holes, a shirt which I would actually wear maybe on a day-to-day basis. Might put on a blazer sometimes if I need to look presentable. But this is how you could find me. And that's where the imposter syndrome is holding you back, is in being the authentic you. Being you in whatever shape, way, form, and beauty you have, and putting that outside to the world. And that's what you need to figure out for yourself. What is your unique power? What is it that you get energy from if you do? And how can I put that in? And how can I take away those barriers to stop me from stopping myself? Because many times you'll be valuable to somebody else and you have a unique thing, but we look at it from our perspective and from our point of view and from our belief systems and our belief in ourselves, and change how we actually function towards the outside world, because that's not how other people see us or look at us and feel us.